Welcome, everybody, to the Tapped Out Podcast Network and the Tapped Out Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. What's going on, my man?
You know, I know it's the Tapped Out Podcast because I'm in the Tapped Out Studios. Wow, matching shirts. So cool. Where do you get those?
I did the double whammy with the hat and everything. Yeah, man. ProWrestlingTees.com. They are available. I will tell you this, Myron. I don't know. These, I just ordered... well, check out the Tapped In show. Those guys were rocking their Jack Jameson sporting the tank top, and Grillo was sporting the hat. But I got a couple, for them to be rocking around. They said they wanted airport shirts, so they've got tank tops and they got regular tees. But these, I will tell you, I'm not sure if you've ever purchased on the. They have the basic tee and then they have the soft.
Uh-huh.
I paid the extra and got the soft this time. Well worth every penny. It is way more comfortable than the standard basic unisex tee that they do. That could be a little rough. It's durable, but it's a little rough.
Well, so I have to buy the biggest ones they have. So some days they're super soft, other days they're unisex.
Well, no, they're like I said, I did the big shirts, but you can do like
I can get a soft biggie. Well, that's just
yeah. So I just did there's a soft upgrade that you can get where it's a softer material, and I highly recommend that again. ProWrestlingTees.com, Tapped Out Podcast Network, and it'll pull it all up, all the shirts specifically. They're all there. There's multitudes of them. I took some of the old models down over the past week. But I did leave up all the most popular ones, so they're still there, of course.
So where else can you find stuff about the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast besides Pro Wrestling Tees?
We're on all social media, of course, at Tapped Out Pod. We try to brand everything else, even all the way across to our Patreon, as you can see right there on the screen if you're watching us on YouTube. Patreon.com/Tapped Out Pod. That's where you're going to get the shows early. That's where you're going to get the jacked up segments. They're free now. Hey, send all your thanks, your gratitude emails, tappedoutpod@gmail.com to Jack Jameson. He is the one who wanted those there on the free tier as well. Digital collectibles, the 8.5 by 11 autograph stuff. Probably get those mailed out next week, right at the beginning of the month, right on time. So make sure if you're signed up and you're a $25 paid member, just to give you a little idea of how much value there is this month, there'll be 2 of them. In this month,
2 extra.
There'll be 2 signatures, 2 pages, 2 pages in there, and it'll make more sense when you get it. But so I highly recommend the $25 tier because well worth the price of admission there. But man, let's jump right into it, man, because there's a lot of news. I didn't realize until I was looking at the notes how much stuff we've actually got. This might be an hour and a half show. Literally, might be an hour and a half show.
No, it won't.
I would not be surprised if it was. Let's start right out of the gate.
It's the road to WrestleMania.
To the main event segment, if you call it that, because it wasn't really a match. The main event segment on Raw. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, face-to-face again. But this time there was a little bit of a third and fourth party involved with the Usos now coming out. Because we got the Usos one week, then we got Roman, and now we got them all.
Seems like they're forming a team of some kind. Like a group, maybe a faction, because nobody came out to help Punk.
No. It is. It does appear the Bloodline mode may be re-engaged on a lot of people, in a couple ways. One, I will say Roman hasn't looked that vicious since they were at peak Bloodline.
Excellent point. I worry about Jimmy though. Jimmy doesn't seem like he's in. He doesn't seem like he's there.
There's always going to be one that's all scared. Like, remember we did this the first time around. There was one that wasn't all the way in and it went from one to the other one too. Remember it was like they shifted of who it was.
I hope they get Sammy because he's in a horrible. I mean, unless they can do a big thing with Trick Williams with him, his character's just. Ugh.
Listen, man, we always have this conversation, dude. There's only so many spots at the top. They'll figure out something. And WWE likes to go like, hey, we're not saying you're not hot or good. We're going to move you back for a minute, put you on the back burner, and then we'll slide you up again when we need you. Give you a break, sliding chess pieces around. This shit's chess. It ain't checkers. I mean, like let them play a little bit. But I tell you somebody who's not playing, and that is one Jey Uso.
No.
How about, I wanted to ask you that. Did he give Roman an order?
He's hot right now.
Who told him?
Not like Jey Uso is a hot guy, a hot wrestler. He is on fire. He's angry. He can barely control himself. That's something new. I mean, remember last year at WrestleMania, yeet, 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 a year of yeets. When the yeeting they weren't yeeting last night, okay? There was no positive like Jey Uso bump there. There wasn't the Jey Uso who, well, I can't get both arms up. I'll knock my microphone down. But there wasn't all that stuff that positively that Jey was the massive baby face from WrestleMania. There was Jey, this hot-headed, I don't care about the tag team titles. What was that? Oh.
Here's my thing with Jey Uso. Fans are to blame for Jey Uso. Jey Uso is going to be one of those heels that's going to be able, if they go heel, by the way, if he goes heel, he will have every bit of the truth, behind his version of the story. Because when he got the title, remember how fast fans turned on him?
Oh yeah, the minute the bell rang, they turned on it.
And it's like, so as soon as they put their back, oh, he's not dead. People started complaining about him. So I think he's got every right. So for him to segue back over into this Bloodline thing makes total sense to me, because that's when everybody loved him and that's when everybody liked him. Or he just be, you know what he might be? He might just be the hell with all these people. They didn't, I tried to be what they wanted me to be, and then they turned their back on me. That's a good heel when you can do that.
Yeah, that's a good promo when it comes out. Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm just curious more about him directly feeling like, I'm not saying he gave him an order, but he told him to get back in there and smash Punk, and Roman listened and went and did it. Back in the day, I'm not sure that happens.
Well, it wouldn't happen when Roman walked down to the ring and started giving orders. Weird dynamic. And it's another Monday that ends in a promo main event instead of a match, and I'm not unhappy about it.
No, I think they did do a pretty good job. They're doing a decent job enough for me with this program that every week we're escalating a little bit, and I'm hoping they time it right so it is at its peak when we get to WrestleMania, because that's kind of what you want. Like you don't want it to be like, oh, we're at our peak. Ah, shit, there's 3 weeks left of Mania. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
3 weeks, 4 weeks now? We're getting really close.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So, speaking of which, another one that's picking up a lot of steam is the Brock Lesnar, Oba Femi stuff.
Sorry.
Massive potential. Yes. Massive potential for this, where this can go. So, again, to follow up from our conversation last week, to all the naysayers who Brock's not going to lose and Brock's not going to do business, he's just going to run roughshod over everybody the rest of the time he's in WWE. That is clearly not the case. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to win at Mania. I'm not saying that.
No, it's very likely he could win at WrestleMania. There is no telling on this one, depending on what they want to do with Oba. Is Oba bulletproof enough to take a loss after this whole big thing? I mean, he got over Lesnar twice. Is that elevated him to the point where he could take a loss? Don't know. Now, when he worked in NXT, he had the whole Trick Williams thing. He had that boy's bouncy thing. He was not really a heel or a face to me in that thing. But he come back out and they're chanting his name. People are super happy to see him. I think he could get over. I think he has the potential to get over big as the next Brock Lesnar.
That leads me to a question, because here's my only thing. Brock Lesnar has achieved that he's just too cool to really hate, really.
Yeah.
So it is difficult, when Big Show was there, we'd heard conversations, there come a size of a guy that you're like, he's just too big to be a babyface, because you cannot get sympathies on a guy that's that big. It's easier for that guy to be heel.
You can't squash match him.
I have a weird conspiracy theory. Paul Heyman has a history here, and let's go with his history. When he's ready to move on to the next, thing, he did it with Brock, with Roman. What if he sees the weakness that he sees right now these last couple of weeks in Brock Lesnar? What if he flipped Oba? This isn't what I'm thinking happened. I'm just like saying, how cool would this be? He flipped Oba as a heel and turned his back on Brock. So then Brock rides out. Because, well, listen, if we know we don't know, but if we know Brock Lesnar's leaving, if he's retiring after the SummerSlam in Minnesota, ride out that last 6 months or whatever it is as it's not even going to be 6 months at that point, but ride that out as a babyface because people are going to want to cheer him once they pretty much know he's gone.
The only hang up with that is what happens to Oba after, because he's already got the returning Braun Breaker. He's got the Vision. Is Oba the new leader of the Vision? I mean, how is that going to fit? Is his personality stronger? Is he their heater? What are you going to do with him? What will you do with him?
Is he the heater of the group? I didn't say the leader. He's the heater.
Or do they just get rid of the Vision altogether?
Does Braun Breaker, when he comes back, who knows when the hell that's going to be, but there's all kinds of rumors out there, but does he need anybody? Maybe he just thinks, if Paul Heyman's going to be his guy, he's just going to be with Paul Heyman. That's it. Paul Heyman goes full youth movement, because here's the thing. We don't feel like Logan Paul even belongs in that group, but I don't believe that way. I think super highly of Logan Paul, and I think here's that whole hot take that was out there. I think Logan Paul will be a world champion at some point.
Well, of course,
but he doesn't need to be in the Vision.
No.
So if Paul went full youth, and it was, let's think about that, Braun Breaker with Oba Femi as a heater, like that's crazy. I'm not saying that'll happen, folks. I'm saying how crazy is that, but
just to keep
it's always a possible,
like the lapdog kind of thing.
Maybe. If I'm him, I break away too.
Well, this is the first time he's ever been able to be over, though.
Is he?
Well, I mean,
TV drawing a check.
Yeah, and he's got a title match at Madison Square Garden next week. So we'll see.
We'll see.
But there's so many unfair things. Yes. Yes, I'm worried so much about this.
So let's have the conversation about Gunther and then kind of what was out there. I guess the rumors were he was supposed to wrestle Rey at WrestleMania. That's kind of where they thought the Dragon Lee segue was going to eventually get to where it was going to be him and Rey Mysterio. Potentially it was going to be, is this where we retire Rey Mysterio? Two things. One, let's go first. Obviously there's the rumor floating around that maybe the rib injury is not quite as severe as Ray's saying. Because if he's not ready for Mania, he's not going to lose his career at Mania. He gets to do it where he wants to. Where reportedly, he has said he wants to wrestle Dom at Clash in Italy May 31st and lose there and let Dom be the one who retires him, which makes total sense in the grand scheme.
Yeah, that would make total Bloodline type sense. And Dom's clearly busy right now.
Correct.
What did they do with Gunther? What did they do with one of the massive talents that they've put at the top of the card for so many shows?
Send your responses, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, and I'm going to ask Myron here. Here's my thing. If Gunther and Rey was the plan, and we always forget, like, I don't know how we would forget right now because Seth Rollins had gotten injured and that shook up stuff for a while. Breaker is injured. Like the human element is a real thing in wrestling. That just stuff can just change on a dime, right? So the question there and it all is going to be more, if you didn't have the match you wanted with Gunther and Rey, are you better to try to rush something, or are you better just not to do, like, hey, he doesn't have to be here. Like, don't try to force a square peg in a round hole.
Is he going to get Bayley'd like Bayley last year? Where she doesn't get on the card? I can't see Gunther not being on the card. I think he has to be on the card somewhere.
But if you don't, again, this gets into that dangerous thing we talk about on TV sometimes. If you don't have, like, the plan ready to go, why force it? Like, why put people on TV and just throw them in a random match when you don't really know where you're going? I'm thinking, if you don't have a program for somebody, don't have them on. Just push them on. Put them on the back burner for a week or two until you or even a month for that matter, until you figure out what you're going to do with them. I get it. He should be there, but if the match falls apart and it's just not going to be there, is he not better off just to say, like, do something with him, but he doesn't have to have a match just to have one?
Because he has to win if he's on this streak, this retirement streak. He has to find somebody he's going to retire. But Michael Cole? I mean, seriously, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I don't think forcing it and trying to make something happen when it's not necessarily I think it's just easier maybe just to not do it at all. But I really don't. Look, we've got a couple weeks. We're going to find out if they're going to force something in there. It'll probably happen.
Okay. We'll see.
I will say something that we thought was inevitable that did come to pass. We kind of talked about it a little bit last week. NXT is actually officially on YouTube now. The old PLE, like the whole kit and caboodle, they're loading episodes and everything on there. Pretty wild to think that is this gonna, like, it's not gonna be Peacock, it's not gonna be Netflix. Look, and I'm not saying they're not working on another deal. However, what's the old saying? The second largest search engine in the world is YouTube.
Well, if you can't sell it, you might as well put it out there and have it making money for you. Because it's going to make money on YouTube. It may not make contract money, but it'll make money. So it's no sense of it just sitting. It's like the WCW library. They put it on YouTube because they had it. It needed to make money. Put it there, see if it makes money. And they must be happy about it, the WCW library, because now they're doing it when they did it with the deal they're working on with AAA right now. Who knows? I just think
it's one of the absolute best places to park the content.
Yes.
Because I was telling somebody the other day, we were talking about this. I'm like, let's say they end up signing a deal with somebody. You don't even have to take it down. You just literally go in there and check all and make it go where it's like unlisted or so nobody can see it. And then if that deal like falls apart, you just come back over and go click, and it's all back.
Yeah. Now where the PLE is going to be on ESPN now?
No, they're all on YouTube. The NXT stuff is on YouTube. Unless you're overseas, et cetera, whatever. I think they're going to. Here's what I think we found out. This is hard for a lot of people to swallow. In the corporate grand scheme, the old libraries did not have the value. They were ancillary value when it came to the other packages because it was all lumped into a package. The second they realized, here's the thing, Myron, we will give you all of the new WWE PLEs, going forward, and blah blah blah. And if you will give us, and then let's say ESPN came to them and said they give them a number. Well, what if we added the WCW library and all this kind of stuff? And they're like, same number. Like they don't see the value in it. Why include it into the package? Like you said, park it on YouTube and make some ad money.
We're in that wrestling bubble where we assume people watch old wrestling.
No.
And we get to think, oh yeah, because you see it. All your friends are like, I'm watching Starrcade from X, or yeah, here I am watching this show. And I don't think your average wrestling fan goes back and watches old stuff the way people in the bubble think they do. I think kids and your casual fans and your people who just want to see what's going to happen to Cody next week, to see if Randy is going to have any more voices in his head. I finally know the words.
I used to have the percentage on it, and it was something like 2 or 3. Like, it's a super minute number of anybody who was even watching. Now, here's the crazy part. It was a super small number that watched a disproportionate amount.
Yes.
If that makes sense. So, there's so few people that are watching the old Starcades when it was on, pick a service, that it was on at one point, the network or wherever. But they saw like that person will watch a ton. But do you know what that value is? Yeah, that's called YouTube, because you're either going to have YouTube Premium, and they're going to get a cut of that because you're watching their stuff, or two, you're just going to watch a shit ton of ads while you do it, and they're going to get ad revenue out of you. So they're making money off of that other person. When adding it onto the existing bigger packages, they probably weren't getting anything for it. So this is 100% the right deal for them.
And Peacock always seemed like they were just they hated storing stuff. When they had all that library.
Peacock is the biggest half pregnant app that's a streaming service that's out there.
Yeah, it's useless sometimes.
The interface sucks.
Yes.
If I didn't have it for free right now, like, I wouldn't have it. I literally have it through my Walmart
I have it
Plus.
for free also.
And I'm like, because when the WWE stuff moved, I 100% was like, I'm out, because they have shit for movies on there. Like, very rarely do they ever have something that it's like literally, I feel like once a quarter a movie hits that I'm like, oh, I want to watch that. I think the thing now somebody had me turn me on to is I'm starting to watch the Ted TV series, the Teddy Bear, TV series. It's funny, but it's like, okay, but how long? That's 2 seasons in before I've been even turned on to the fact that that's on there.
Yeah, Law and Order SVU, but most of the time we just watch the one we put on the DVR. Law and Order Organized Crime was on there, but it's.
Yeah,
I'm frustrated with the Law and Order series right now because they're not putting out enough new episodes. You get spoiled as a wrestling fan. You get a new show every week, regardless.
Yeah,
there's no off season, so
I think they are doing the right move, checking it out on YouTube. Because here's the thing: you can afford, by the way, for YouTube to be the guinea pig. Because if YouTube does well, then maybe they're like, okay, so now we got YouTube money coming in. Because they were talking about like casual fans, it's easier to access. When all the stuff was on Peacock, no casual. Here's, I think, what did Peacock in as far as WWE goes. They sold them Saturday Night Main Event, whatever. But all the other stuff, once all the other stuff moved, casual fans weren't still on there like, oh, I'll watch something on NXT or whatever. You had to get it to where it was on the broadest base distribution, and that's YouTube, folks, globally.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how that played out.
I had the worst trouble finding something wrestling on there the other day. I can't remember what I was looking for, but it's almost like they put it so far back you can't even find it. So
I literally, on Peacock, I just go to the far left down the tab. They had that WWE tab. That was how I used to find everything, because I was just like, I just can't. Searching their interface is it's an absolute, it's a disaster. Yeah. Nobody outdoes Netflix than like Netflix. The interfaces. You know what we love about Netflix? Hey, here's all this shit that you watch all the time. Here's more stuff like that.
Yeah, it's got that algorithm. It's got a good one. Like, here, this is you. You watch this.
Yeah. They absolutely, without question, do the best job when it comes to like, we noticed you watched this. Here's more of that. That's what they do. Listen, speaking of content, let's get into one of our favorite things. I know you're not going to get to watch it this year. We joked about it because you said you'll be like, there's no way I'll watch the Hall of Fame, right? It's going to be on late.
I like missed midnight. It last year and then never got around to watching it again. So I will have to watch it on replay on whatever service they put it on.
Yeah. And I think it's ESPN, maybe. I think.
Yeah. Well, they're actually remember now they're putting a free hour of WrestleMania on regular ESPN before they go back to ESPN Plus for the rest of it. That's going to be a cool experiment.
That will be different. I am curious to see how that goes. How much I want to see what the viewership is on ESPN for that first hour. Yeah. We'll get that number because that'll be as close to an accurate number as far as we can. Because problem is, there's going to be some people like me that I'm not going to watch it on ESPN. I'm going to just start from the app. Yeah. If it's both, I'm just going to watch it straight from the app from the get go. Yeah. But speaking of Hall of Fame, they announced this week Dennis Rodman's in.
Yes,
the Worm.
Dude, remember at WrestleCade the year before last, he had like the longest line for people to get his autograph. And I don't know if those are sports fans or wrestling sports fans or WCW fans. If you're going to have a celebrity every year, why not making him? I mean, they've put a lot of celebrities in. It should have been Cyndi Lauper, in my opinion, if they were going to put a celebrity in. But why not Rodman? Not a bad choice.
I think with with the Hogan passing, I think it was kind of top of mind. Like, hey, let's do NWO. Let's kind of and he's NWO guy. He embodied it. If you ever hear the funny parts, like Bischoff talks about how Rodman was all in when it came, to do, being involved in all of that. So I think that's why. Maybe you go with that. The question I had is now, of course, you have Rodman, obviously. You have Stephanie, you have Demolition, you have AJ. As of recording today, we learned that Sid will be inducted in the Legacy Hall. I think that's what they're calling it now. Obviously, look, we don't think it's Rodman. We don't think it's Demolition. We keep coming back to this. Is it AJ or Steph? And I'm hoping, praying.
It's going to be Stephanie.
I think it's got to be AJ.
It's going to be Stephanie.
Like,
she's the daughter of Vince McMahon. She's married to Triple H. She's been on television her whole life. It's going to be Stephanie.
I just hope that she maybe gets it and lets AJ. We'll see. It'll play out. We'll see how it's going. However, when we think about this, that's 5 people right now. I honestly have said in the past, I really wish they would go to some smaller classes. And I like this. If it's 5, it's probably going to be more. Don't get me wrong. But I like it being 5.
Well, how long was it last year? Wasn't the Hall of Fame like almost as long as WrestleMania itself? It was like a 5-hour thing.
No, last year it was a couple years. It was a few years ago. It was super, super long. But last year I think they zipped through pretty quick. They kind of had gotten it down to it's not even the. It's got to be the speeches, and you got to limit it or whatever. But I always thought, like, if your concern is the length of the program, lessen the number of people so you can give them more time to get the speech that they deserve, and just kind of give everybody, like, look, with all due respect, Rodman, your speech doesn't have to be as long as AJ's or Stephanie's.
No, please don't.
Like, I almost want to say book it. Rodman, you got
15 minutes.
10,
5
minutes. Yeah, whatever. No. Yeah. Demolition, there's 2 of you. We'll give you 15 minutes instead of 10 minutes or whatever. Something to that effect. AJ, we'll give you 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Something like that. Like, Steph, you got 30 minutes as well, or something like that. And blah, blah, blah. Because Sid's kids will probably come up. His son will probably come up and, do his speech or something like that. So I'm hoping that that's what the case is. So, I just always like the Hall of Fame. I'm not really sure why. It's always been one of my favorite things of the weekend. It's probably because it's one of the most real things you're going to get. You know what I mean? Like the truth, the passion, the whatever. And, we all like that part.
Real.
Unless
real.
Your Tama Tonga this past week got slapped with a fine, apparently, supposedly, rumoredly, for airing some rehearsal video footage on his social media page. And I wanted to ask that question. During an era where we have a show like Unreal that airs on Netflix globally, should this even be an issue?
Well, this is the second time Tama Tonga's done something like this, airing something on social media that's pissed him off. But I'm a firm believer that Unreal was the narrative they wanted you to see. They pulled the curtain back, but they didn't tell you how the sausage was made. You know what I mean? I don't think they would have allowed everything to be shown on Unreal. You watched, I haven't got to see all of it yet. You watched it. You said it was really good, but it seemed like there was something missing, right?
They aired what they wanted.
Yeah. So Tama went outside of airing what they wanted. It's a controlled release. Okay? You got what they wanted you to see, not what some guy just posted.
Yeah, who knows? I just thought that was kind of, it struck me as a little. Now, granted, supposedly, like, hey, they know what the policy are, what the policy is. It's been addressed with the roster multiple times. Blah 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 blah. Is it simply, like you said, hey, the only shit we want out there is the stuff we put out there?
Yeah.
Do that somewhere
it's wrestling. Else. Wrestling is based on image more than just about anything else. Okay? It's based on what we want you to see more than almost any other business. Because there's so much that goes into the part that's not real, for lack of a better way to put it, the predetermined part. Who knows? But I think they like to control the narrative they put out there.
They love total control, and I tell you, it's another situation that's come up that they're it's causing a little bit of an issue. It seems like they have apparently signed Evil from New Japan. Supposedly is coming in, but the hang-up is, where's he going to debut? Because ironically enough, he wants to go to NXT first, and they really want him on Raw or SmackDown. That's a little backwards, than most cases. And I think the question is, why? And I'm assuming it's because they see he's ready. He's been in New Japan for a while. It's not like he's not seasoned enough. But he just wants to learn the WWE way.
It's not a seasoning, it's a styling. He's adequately seasoned, but they want to, get his hair combed the right way or whatever. They want the WWE package on it, which I think is really smart on his behalf. Now, maybe his salary does not dictate staying in NXT. Maybe he's too big a number to stay in NXT. Hobbs apparently said, I have to come to the main roster. I'm not going to NXT. Evil comes out and says he wants to go to NXT. I would respect this more because I think he knows he needs a little something. He can work with people and he can get more, they don't have to milk him right off the bat. This would help NXT a big deal to get a big name coming in like that.
I think that with people like, Paige, Hendry, Evil, like one of the growth opportunities for WWE is NXT. I would almost think they would embrace the concept if somebody wants to go there, and let's stop calling it main roster and NXT.
Yeah.
Let's build NXT up to a brand that's drawing 1 million, 1.2 million, 1.3 million, whatever, 1.4 million. I know it's on CW, and people are going to challenge that a little bit about getting that many people to watch something on the CW. But it's not always going to be on the CW.
No, the new contract is going to be much more lucrative from what I can tell.
So the crazy thing is, I think in the weird situation, this is one of those things like where we always talk about, like, both sides can be right for different reasons. Like, I understand what he wants to do, and he's just like, hey, I want to make sure I'm ready so I don't fail by going to your most visible product and not being used to that style. And they are like, you may be right. It may boil down to dollars and cents, right? It may be like, yeah, we ain't paying you that to go down to NXT and wrestle in front of a couple hundred people. Like, that ain't going to work.
Yeah.
Like, that math don't work. So,
I mean, not everybody's as lucky to have developmental right at their doorstep like we are. AEW developmental's right here in Georgia, and WE probably a little bit, and they're turning huge numbers on AEW now. They're beating NXT, aren't they?
They did this, again, depending on when you're listening to this, not Wednesday's show, but last Wednesday's show. They did 730,000, which is up big time, from what they've been hanging around. It's like 100,000 people up, kind of where they had been. By the way, again, rough numbers. Nobody knew the exact numbers. But Revolution pay-per-view buys were up 27% roughly from All Out and Full Gear. Pretty much the best pay-per-view numbers since All In last year. Which is about right, by the way, par for the course, because that Revolution is one of their big ones. The question that we were kind of having is, by the way, like, just the sheer momentum they've had coming off of Revolution, coming off of these numbers, they've steady increased over TV. I asked the question, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, is it a coincidence that this resurgence of AEW has kind of been happening when we're starting to hear, these rumors and these, the vocal minority, you might call them that on the IWC, just saying we're tired of Triple H's booking, where the fatigue is setting in, and they are not, they're not as hot as once they were. Hell, the tickets are just too high. There was a lot of that. Listen, kudos to Tony Khan and them for being super smart and going out there and making a point to say they're charging way too much. If you want to bring your family to a wrestling show, come to our show, because here's what our prices are, and we're way more affordable.
And when the pay-per-views come, we're going to give our hardcore fans exactly what they want. We're going to stack it with as much talent as possible. We're going to make it last 5 hours because you're paying for it. And WBE, you have to pay for the network service, but that's a contract already done. You get 5 matches on a pay-per-view. The fans want that, and the fans are reacting positively to that. Now, I don't know the WWE pay-per-view numbers. I'm sure they're much larger than this, but people aren't paying directly for it. And AEW
used to can make the case.
Spot.
Think about it. You used to make a case where, but I'm only paying X. On Peacock, it was $9.99 or whatever it was for the PLEs. Well, if you do that bundle package for the 3, ESPN, Hulu, Disney, whatever, it's $35.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're not saving near as much as you used to when you talked about, buying a pay-per-view from AEW. So now, if it's $15, is the only difference, and they're going to give me 5 matches, and they're going to give me 5 hours of pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Where's the value at?
I wonder if
you could make this case.
If the AEW pay-per-views went to a streaming service like that, where you got a flat monthly rate on it, would they? There's no way they continue to make them 5 hours.
Sure, you
would. Unless it's Tony Khan. Unless it's just Tony Khan.
That's what his vision of a pay-per-view is. That's the biggest difference. Listen, for all the grief that a lot of people try to throw out there, Tony Khan loves wrestling, and he likes a lot of wrestling. He's going to put it out there, and he's going to give he is about fan service. And if he thinks that fan base wants 5 hours, by God, he's going to give them 5 hours, and sometimes more. I mean, he has passed 5 hours before when you count pre-shows and stuff.
Oh, yeah. QT always gets the Rizzler. QT, introduce me to the Rizzler, please. I need to get a picture with him to piss off my daughter. So, yep. Come on.
Yeah. Go to a one fall show. You never know who you're going to see show up.
God, there's no telling who shows up at that. We're not going to get out of the room before we get into my concept. And I told this to the promoter last year. I said, last year, I will not be supporting One Fall for Georgia Wrestling Promotion of the Year because they have got to the point they're no longer a Georgia Wrestling Promotion. They're bringing in so much talent from AEW. Their shows are drawing so many people. They've got so many sponsors and TV contracts. I think next year, we're about to do a topic where we talk about going to One Fall shows and going to shows all over Georgia. I think next year they're going to be in the top half of the show. We start talking about One Fall like we talk about NXT.
If they don't run anything out of Georgia. Because here's the thing. All right, let's have this conversation. Because I had this with somebody the other day, and you will see how my brain zigzagged over the line a little bit here when we had this thing. I understand what you're trying to say. But I also think, are we also thinking from a very regionalistic like Georgia mind frame? What I mean by that is, there are promotions all over the country that bring in big names. They bring in John Moxley. They bring in Orange Cassidy. They bring it it happened. MJF has worked at House of Glory. Like it's not like they don't work any of the indie shows or whatever. So my question became, when we want to have the argument, we are about to do the Making the Drive segment here in a minute, guys. One of the arguments made was like, hey, does One Fall count as a regional or a Georgia, or like what do they count as? And my thing is the argument, are we going to get into the semantics of the wording? If all of their shows took place in Georgia and they are using a bunch of indie talents on their card, it's not like it's not all, they just bring in national names. Anyone in the state of Georgia can do that. Just pay whatever their fee is to bring them in, and they'll come in. So what keeps them out? Just because they have, they have a TV deal? Well, with all due respect, don't half of the promotions in Georgia claim they have one?
Yes.
Because they're on IWTV.
Yes.
They have just as much distribution as well.
They ran center stage last year. They're going to run center stage again this year. They just draw 1,300 people in Rome at a show. They have I can't see why MJ. Okay. Let's start making the drives. First show we're going to talk about is a TV taping where MJF and QT Marshall wrestle.
Well, maybe we'll see
for the AEW title.
MJF. Here's the thing. It's not for the some of this has changed over the time. MJF is on the card. MJF has put out an open challenge and has said, if anybody can beat him, he will give them an AEW title shot on Dynamite.
Okay.
So pretty cut and dry, right? It could be anybody. It could be QT. It could be Grillo. It could be Jack Jameson. It could be Michael Solar, for all we know, that could answer that challenge.
Oh, yeah,
anybody
Solar.
in that locker room. So, we'll see who it shall be. So again, that is Thursday at the Dalton Carpet 1FW Arena there in McDonough. Big, huge taping. They've also, by the way, announced there's also going to be a cage match at that TV taping as well. So check that out. That'll be pretty loaded. So, but to answer your question, is House of Glory an indie promotion? They brought him in.
We're going to argue about it. It's just going to be about geography. Is One Fall limited to Georgia? Are they going to step outside Georgia? Are they going to be able to take over more? We've seen the short time that they've been doing this. Okay.
They are just about to creep up on their 1 year. April was their first show last year, I believe.
Okay. So
they're still an indie. That's, we talked about it, by all the measures of it, they're still an indie. They just happen to have a better Rolodex than most. That's the biggest
a much thicker wallet than most people.
Listen, why? You can spend as much money as you want to. You can invest into it, and you can.
But they've got investors that are seriously making this very possible for them.
There are no investors per se. I mean, there's literally
sponsors. That's what I meant.
Anybody can go out and get those sponsors. That's what I'm saying. Anybody can go out and find sponsors. Anybody can go out and raise capital, whatever you want to call it. You just got to. How much do you believe in the product, and how much of a risk are you willing to take in dropping a fee for an MJF to come in or a Billy Gunn to come in, and try to draw that and get your thing. I think it's, again, back to what we're talking about. Promotions in the Northeast, they'll take that risk because I think, now granted, I'm being honest, they do have more of a track record of drawing a bigger crowd. Was talking to another talent, and he was talking about a promotion that he was on that drew 1,300 people, and it was an indie show. And he's like, yeah, that was a big show. They had X on the card, but normally they're around 1,000. A normal crowd for this promotion was 1,000. They can afford to make those, heavy hits and make those, does Larry Otto count as an indie? They had the Hardys. They've had QT. They got
wrestle
the Good
in
Brothers.
one city, though. I love Larry Otto. Don't get me wrong, but they work in Dublin every time. And they don't run, but how many times a year?
They're running more this year than they have in the past. So I think they're going to run 6 or 8.
One run 4 shows in a week.
That's you can run the same argument, though. You could run as many shows as you want. Pick a venue and run.
You make it sound oversimplified, but you know for a fact, talking to Scotty, that he is the busiest man in wrestling. Sorry. I do not think. I think it's they are at a level right now that it's eclipsed Georgia. I think they are no longer a Georgia promotion.
Tomato. We'll see. We'll see at the end of the year.
My ass.
No, we'll see at the end of the year if they count or not. I just, I'm not sure. We'll have to hear the arguments for both. That's just my take. You brought it up, so let's do that. Let's zip through the Making the Drive stuff. We talked about Thursday, that down in McDonough, Georgia. 1FWLive.com. TV taping. MJF will be in the house. Cage match is also going to take place. I'm not sure if there's tickets by the time you're listening to this, because you almost honestly are going to have to be a Patreon member to get this thing early on Wednesday, because Thursday nights, this thing will drop Thursday morning. that thing's tonight. If you're listening to us on Thursday, so keep that in mind. Friday, they're right back in action. One Fall in Buford, Diesel Tap House, Drago versus a Go-Go. That'll be a fun match. Angelica Risk, she will be there. She takes on Joya Blake, and Tyler Shoup, the double-header man, will take on the Warden. He wrestled in the Rumble and in the main event at the Rumble in Rome. Should be a fun show there in Buford. This one has a massive question mark for me if that's where I will be on Friday. Massive question mark.
If I was off work, I'd be there. It's right near my house, right near your house. But you've got extenuating circumstances, card subject to change.
Action Wrestling, they're going to be in Fayetteville. Bell time's 8 o'clock. Top Team versus the Carnies. Go check out the Tapped In show where we had a pretty good conversation about Top Team and where we think they may stand in the pecking order in Georgia when it comes to tag teams right now. Kelsey Reagan will take on Corinne Joy, Darian Bingston, and a whole lot more in action. That is at the Lion Creek Bus Barn location. I know you're a big fan of that location as well.
Yeah, definitely.
SCA will be in Royston. They are at the Royston Dome. Bell is 8 o'clock. Like clockwork every single week. Check out them right there at the Royston Dome. Saturday, March 28th, One Fall Wrestling, shocking, is going to have another show at Jefferson. Brady Booker is going to defend his West Jackson Wrestling Club championship that he got from that school against Lamar Diggs. Look, he's got one that he dropped recently, Brady Booker. Better be careful not to overlook one Lamar Diggs, because that big dude will take it in a heartbeat.
One of my favorite people in wrestling.
QT Marshall will take on Mark Davis, and this one should be a potential barn burner. Yes. Check out Tapped In. There were some thoughts shared about this one as well. Obviously, the superstars in the frat house, Jack Jameson, he shared his opinions and thoughts of what he thought was going to go down, because as of right now, by the way, this will be their potentially second match of the weekend as they are taking on each other at the TV taping as well. Big night in Savannah. Coastal Empire's back. Michael Walker versus Dax Anthony in the main event. Dax earned a shot at this opportunity, and lots of question marks, about Dax Anthony heading into this. Maybe more even going into this with Michael Walker, and I would not be shocked if there are questions coming out of this. The Allen brothers are going to take on the Saturday Night Temptations for the Tag Team Turmoil titles. Hunter James and Christian Taylor in a last man standing match.
I want to see that. Okay. I don't know if Hunter James can take Christian Taylor down in a last man standing match. He's crazy.
Is Christian Taylor too insane to stay down? That's the question.
I don't think he'll stay down.
Yeah. Exotic Youth will take on Hakeem Young and Jay Alpha Miller, a team I'm full-heartedly keeping my eye on. That team intrigues me a lot, but Exotic Youth has obviously got a lot of experience as a team, so that may be too much for them to overcome. Check out them and more. Coastal Empire, Savannah, Georgia. Bell time is 7:30 p.m. Big show in Jasper, GPW, Georgia premiere. Bell time 7 p.m. This thing's been building and building. Check them out on social media if you have not seen all of the video content coming out from them. As Josh Cantrell and the Warden are going to take on Trevor Blackwell and Josh Fitz. The Joshes, Cantrell and Fitz, have kind of been feuding here for quite a while. A lot of intriguing footage of attacks at people's workplaces, arrests, training. Trevor's training Josh to get ready for this. Again, check them out on social media, specifically Facebook. Lots of cool videos there. JD Inc.'s going to be doing his double title celebration.
One of the hardest working men in Georgia wrestling.
And then, of course, the champ himself, one Jimmy Wild. They will all be there. Georgia premiere in Jasper, Georgia. GCW will be in Buckhead on Saturday. There's a shit ton of shows, Myron. GCW is going to be in Buckhead. Their bell time is 7 p.m. Nick Kalen will defend the GCW title against CJ Gallows. Bad Company, Chop Top, Jesse Cruz, whole lot more. Check them out over at the Gotta Be Rolling Center, Skating Center in Buckhead on Saturday night. Total Aggression, they're running in Cornelia. Actually, sorry, my bad. They're in East Denali this show. I got to change that before I put that on the before I put that in the report. They're in East Denali. They had been running in at Cornelia, but they've shifted around. Cody McCulley, Seth Stevens, a bunch of whole other people on this card. let's jump to Sunday because Sunday's a pretty loaded show. As basically
Sunday.
Two little tiers of the state, by the way, go down into the southeast part of the state. United Pro Entertainment, they are running in Kingsland, Georgia. Check out this card. Bryce Cannon and Hunter James. Flying Fro is on the card. Brian Brock versus John Davis. Two big old dudes are going to be fighting.
Knocker.
Yeah, if you're down in that corner area, North Florida, if you're listening as well, head on up to Kingsland, Georgia. Check this show out. Again, March 28th on a Sunday. Up in this area of the state, over in Marietta, AWE is back. They dipped their toe in the water with the Roar show. Now we're going into the AWE show. Carly Bravo will defend the Georgia Wrestling crown. Martin Stone takes on Joe Black. Lev versus Tristan Moody. AWE kind of picking right back up where they were when they, before they took their little hiatus. But let's see here. Can they get a lot of momentum coming out of that Roar show which did so well? And can they pick up steam and get a little momentum going? We hope so, because we've always say Georgia wrestling's at its, it's absolutely, it's a huge advantage when AWE's got a little momentum and going. What you say?
Yes, it helps everyone.
Monday, it's a makeup show for Action Wrestling, coming there to Me Hands in Atlanta. They had a show scheduled, and it was canceled when those storms rolled through a couple weeks ago. Darian Binkston will defend the Action World title versus Effie, and
Big
Cruel versus Carly Bravo. Two major matches set up for a massive, massive show. Get out on a Monday, go drink a beer or two, and watch what Matt Griffin and Action Wrestling put on. Absolutely some of the best wrestling in the state of Georgia.
Yes.
Should be a huge, huge win for all parties involved there at Me Hands. Now, if you haven't checked out the Tapped In show lately, we introduced a new segment. We were taking questions, and I thought, we got this one question in and kind of said, you know what, this one probably leans towards more me and Myron than it would. Those guys are a little younger and have not been subjected to this yet. So I thought I would move it over to us.
I haven't heard this question, folks, so it's going to be an absolutely blind question for me. Not prepared.
As Jack Jameson says, we raw dog our life advice questions. I don't give them the questions ahead of time. I literally read it. They hear it for the first time on the air.
My dog doesn't raw as well as it used to.
Yeah. So, again, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. I love the fact that we try to tell everybody. I appreciate the fact that you guys understand how these segments work. I just absolutely appreciate the creative subjects and the sign-offs, and you'll see what I mean. The subject of this email, Myron, my 13-year-old daughter says she has a boyfriend. And it says, hey, guys, I'm a dad in my late 30s. I've got a 13-year-old daughter, and I just had a moment I was not prepared for at all. The other night at dinner, completely out of nowhere, she just casually says, yep, my boyfriend says that too.
Well, I've been through that. You've been through it 3 times. My only advice is...
Oh, that's not the question.
Oh.
We got a long question, but you feel free to interject at any point when you have some thoughts.
Go ahead.
He said, I tried to play it cool, and I said, oh, yeah? You got a boyfriend now? And she says, yeah, we've been talking for like 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, they're steady serious, right? 2 weeks now. When your daughter tells you that, like, do you even bat an eye at that point? Just, a quick answer. It's like, when
my take on it is, I've always been with my kids. The easiest way to make them want something more is for me to tell them no. And the easiest way to guarantee it would happen would be to overreact and try to break it up. So but I'm just saying, like, when they say it's 2 weeks, you're like, oh shit, if that's at that age, that's like middle school. That's a long-term relationship, right? Yeah, yeah.
So his answer is, I'm not trying to overreact, but in my head, he's like, I got a lot of questions. And who is this kid? Where do you know him from? Does he know you have a father? But instead he goes, he said, I asked her, so just tell me about him. She says he's in her grade. He plays sports. He's nice. The usual stuff, right? then she says, "Oh, by the way, can he come over for lunch tomorrow?"
I'm sure.
All right. I find it very convenient though that you went from, "Hey, by the way, I have a boyfriend," to like, "Can he come over tomorrow?"
I mean, that's a quick move.
Yeah.
But
How about
as
we
as a father, you have to learn how to be, you know,
more
on light on your
shift?
feet
Yeah.
at times, because the
Yeah.
shit comes at you so fast sometimes.
Yeah. So he goes, so I asked her, "So what exactly does boyfriend mean in your book?" And she says, "Well, we just text each other. We sit together sometimes." So he said, a part of me was thinking, okay, that sounds pretty harmless. But then the other part of me is, I was a teenage boy and I know where this goes next.
Yes. Yes.
That's, I used to, same thing, right? I used to tell my daughters all the time, I don't have to like your boyfriends. I don't have to trust them, and don't stand there and lie to me because I was you once.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're
I
after.
did tell a young man one time I would end him, and that worked, but it wasn't a serious thing. Had it gotten more serious, I probably would have been in a problem. You know, he was texting her repeatedly one night, and I said, "Can you please give me your phone?" And so this is Casey's father, and I will end you. And he never responded to that, and never responded again. It's easy sometimes to be the bully. I think it's always best to be the observer and see.
Yeah.
You know,
Kind of the follow up. She says, I told her that's fine. No dating, no going out alone. Obviously, we need to meet him. So him coming here seems to be work. She, of course, responds, "Well, it's not that serious." And I'm like, well, it never is, right? Um, he goes, now she's being slightly more private a lot. She's on her phone. She's texting more,
yeah,
trying to figure. He's like, I'm trying to figure things out, but let her grow up a little bit. So I don't want to be the overbearing dad. You talked about that already.
yeah.
I don't want to push her to hide things from me because I'm not familiar with, like, if you guys are familiar with that, girls will do that. They will hide like all kinds of stuff. By the way, so will your wife and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or they're going to act like she's going to act like this is no big deal. He goes, yeah, whatever. So he goes, so is the right move here? Do I either A, set clear rules and just stay firm on them? B, do I ease up a little bit and treat it like it's a harmless middle school situation? Or C, do I try to stay involved without making it a big deal? Because right now I'm realizing I'm not ready to be in this phase. You never are, by the way.
No.
But apparently I'm already here, signed, not ready for the boyfriend talk. So,
well, this is your first time, sir. This is where you have to lay out the groundwork for an entire lifetime of your daughter and men. Handle it well. Handle it slowly. Think it out, and ask your wife. Okay, because if the two of you aren't in agreement, I was going to say agreements. If the two of y'all don't agree on what's going to happen, there'll be two men whose lives are hell. Okay, so think about it.
yes. I have always been it's their mistakes to make a lot of times. You just got to try to protect them from the big ones.
Yeah.
If you stay on goalie, if you're just playing defense all the time, that's kind of where I would say live. I think you can be too aggressive if you go on offense and try to. You're going to mess up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're going to make a mistake. So I always say, yeah, just play defense. Try to keep everything in front of you, and you should be okay in the grand scheme of things.
There was this one kid I used to refer to as King Meat Beater. There was this one I referred to as Greasus because he looked like somebody had soaked Jesus in motor oil. It's been a variety of young men who've came through the door. My son, well, he liked horrors. But we've all been through that phase in our lives.
Well, listen, sir, I'll give you one of the best analogies that I was given, or best things I was ever told. Boys are easier because you've got to worry about one.
Yes.
When it comes to girls, you got to worry about all of them.
Yes.
So I hope I'm sure that probably doesn't make you feel better at all. But again, Just go on defense. To me, it's easier to constantly play defense than
Yes.
try to get on offense and then get caught off guard and you can't get back on defense.
Yeah.
So always just keep it in front of you.
I think you've done a good job. I think the daughters are in good places right now. You've got some lovely grandchildren. My daughter is still in her exploration phase. She's off at college. But it's easier when you hear the voices in your head. They counsel you. It's easier to kill them when they're close to you. So show them your gun collection eventually. Bring them around your wrestling friends if you're around the business.
Yeah.
So
that'll scare them off.
Yes.
I would
also like the same things they like, and you'll annoy them so far they'll go away.
Yeah.
Because if your dad is that weird guy, that's always worked too.
Yeah. So,
but if he doesn't shake your hand like a man, the first time you meet him, it's not going to work.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You got to have that firm handshake, not that soft handshake the kids have now. You got to shake your hand like a man.
Yeah. If my 2.5-year-old grandson shakes hands better than her boyfriend does, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Your life is going to be tough. I don't know when it gets better for fathers.
Get an uncle who knows people and doesn't ask questions.
Yes.
That's always a good one as well. Well, man, that's everything.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Well, man, appreciate you joining us this week on the podcast. Typically, hopefully that segment will be on the other one, but as now you can understand, those guys were like, yeah, no, we're not doing that because we have it would not be the best. Actually, Jack Jameson did give some advice. Don't have kids. It makes it easier.
That's where it starts. Okay, that's the best advice I could give anyone. But sometimes
I tell people all the time, love my kids. I'm telling you, if you don't have them yet, just don't. Yeah. It's okay.
At the time, I loved a woman who wasn't clean.
At one point, I had a head full of hair. I mean, I always jokingly say an ex-wife, three daughters, and a current wife will do that to you. They'll put you through hell and they'll give you high blood pressure. That's all I'm going to say, man. There's nothing you can do about it, but just plow ahead.
Yes.
And massively.
And do a wrestling podcast. It's a good way to get out of the house a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, with that being said, man, that's everything I've got this week. You got anything else before we get out of here?
Devastated to hear about the loss of Dennis Condrey. I met him once only. He was a super nice guy. I've heard nothing but good things about him. Watch your legends. Go out and meet your legends. Get those pictures because they don't have a long time left. And that's all I've got.
I had a conversation with a couple people this weekend about just take the pictures, man. When you're just hanging out, because you never know when's the last time you're going to see somebody, just take them and, enjoy the moments while you can. Absolutely, man. But yeah, absolutely. So, well, man, if that's all you've got, man, what's the old saying, man? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.